Yeah, and then that segues into, how do you say it? It's like that, the capitalistic model of love?
Yeah, so I was talking yesterday at the Shaw conference about different negative discourses around sexuality, and one of them being a capitalist model, which is once you're my partner, or we have a label of boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife, that I now own you. I own your body, I own your sexuality, and how traumatizing and traumatic that is, and how we very much have to challenge that because it's very normal for people to see it that way. We even use the languaging. That's my wife. It's not your wife. That my is that word of ownership. And some people take that too far, thinking that I get to weigh in on what your eyeballs do and I can decide what kind of porn you're looking at. And I kind of said yesterday, if I'm alone at home, I get to decide what I eat. I get to decide what music I'm listening to. I get to decide when I'm home alone what movies I'm watching. I get to decide when I'm home alone, well, anytime actually, what I do with my body. Monogamy is about my relationship to other people. But some people see relationality as I own you and your body, even when it doesn't involve someone else. And I can be upset if you're masturbating. I can be upset at what you're looking at, and that's problematic.
I think it's abusive. I think for the women that, correct me if I'm wrong, because you have had so many patients, but just what I've seen is the scale tips in favor of women as far as controlling the body and what the guy is watching, listening to, and whether or not he's, quote, allowed to masturbate, and that's abusive. Yes. If you were to do that to a woman, like just flip the sexes right there, and then you would say, that's not okay. He's telling you what you can watch. That is abusive. So why are we letting women do it? And I think there's this almost like a resistance for a man to like stand up for himself and say, no, this is my body. And this isn't a threat. Like, look for threats to our relationship. Have I shown you any signs that I'm going to leave you, be unfaithful, break whatever agreements we have? No. So you have to challenge your own inner dialogue, and like this is a saboteur in this moment, right? It's tricking you.
Because if you trust me, trust me. And if you don't, let's talk about the fact that you don't.
Yes.
Because if you do, then I should be able to go wherever I go with whomever I go there with. It shouldn't matter what I'm up to when I'm out with my friends. Because if you trust me, you know I'm looking out for you in our relationship, even when you're not there. And not to like segue the conversation, but there's actually another application of this, which is when we talk about a lot of sexual dysfunctions, I also want men to say, I have a right to the way my penis functions. I'm not going to let someone tell me that I have erectile issues, erections come and go. I have a right to my body as it is. This is what I'm offering you. And same thing with men commenting on women's bodies and weight gain or weight loss or whatever it is. That's also abusive. Women have a right to the body they have, men have a right to the body they have, and we also have to not apply it in that way.
Yeah, and there are so many stories that I've been told where like a man feels safe enough to tell me where he would have an experience, and maybe even a formative sexual experience with a woman, and then she would emasculate him because he was too quick or he couldn't get hard, and how that creates a trauma that really lasts with him, and then that makes it really hard for him to get vulnerable with future partners. And again, I think it's women get away with a lot more because it's not like an immediate violent attack. It's a lot more subtle. And again, I consider that abusive. I don't think that's okay at all. So you shouldn't, again, and even if it's not a long-term committed relationship, you should be committed in that moment. Let's say you just met 2 hours ago, that, like you say, like they're a real person, they have real feelings, and empathize with that and be like, oh, that's fine. That happens. That's natural. There's nothing wrong with you.
And I think that should be a general expectation that you have on anyone who enters your world in any way, as a client, as a friend, as a lover, as a partner, as a hookup, that we're going to recognize each other's humanity, and we're going to realize that any interpersonal relation, any personal interaction on any level is not neutral, and we leave people feeling better off in their bodies in the world with other people, or worse off. And if you're commenting negatively on someone's body and how it functions, or their penis size or anything, you're harming them, and that's going to impact how they move forward with someone else, because we still very much normalize making small dick jokes, and people saying when I'm dating no one who, I only want someone who's hung and all that. That's a form of sexual trauma and body trauma. And I'm working with a lot of individuals that are working on feeling okay in the world, in their body, with a smaller penis or a larger size body or whatever it might be.
Were you ever in a position in your life where you did see people as like ownership, like you had kind of a possessive relationship?
That's a really good question. I think I can honestly say no.
Wow.
And so maybe the deeper question is like, how did that come to be then, right? Because our culture doesn't set you up to think that way. And I guess this is further in my life, so it still doesn't really answer the question, but there was a time in my life where I was dating people that were in the sex work industry, and I had a lot of friends that were, and they came into my life, I guess, at a really beautiful time where it helped me understand and back away from that. I just never really had an anxious attachment style. I never really had a lot of toxic monogamy ideals. Did my mom and dad in their relationship impact that? I don't know how it would have. They were pretty normal. There wasn't really much in that. I somehow at early ages really found a lot of feminist literature. I was always a radical. When I was young, I was this like punk rock kid getting tattooed at 16. And instead of going in maybe a negative direction, I found just really free thinking, healthy people in those worlds. And they really instilled in me just really beautiful ethics and concepts. And so I was really blessed to have found these marginalized people that from the outset were scary. They're tattooed, they have crazy hairstyles and piercings. But we were just like really healthy people that had great ethics, and we honored all the diverse ways that people could exist. And it influenced me very positively.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I'm so
You're
thankful.
definitely a rare bird.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.